Hello, everybody, and welcome to Spiritual Connections LLC. I'm Angelina, your spiritual alignment coach. And today is the day that I guess we're going to talk about alignment. And, it's so crazy when you have like early in the daytime version of you and middle of the day version of you, and then the end of the day version of you. And I'm going to explain to you what I'm talking about here in a second. So, um, when we wake up in the morning, we depending on who you are and what's going on, you might wake up in the morning feeling great, sunshiny, excited for the day, and that, no cloud could ever take away your sunshine or whatever, right? Sometimes you wake up and you're grumpy and you're on the wrong side of the bed. Oh, and I just realized it's the full moon, so maybe that's why we're talking about this. But by the middle of the day, more has happened, right? More has influenced and affected you on a physiological, spiritual level, right? So, and of course, by the end of the day, right, you've experienced so much. Like by the time right now it's 4:30 my time, man, I have experienced a lot today, and yeah, it was kind of hard for me to come on this live today because I was feeling a little bit grumpy, and I'm going to tell you guys all about that in just a second. So, before I get too far into alignment, what is alignment? Why are we talking about it? What is your soul asking you to do? Make sure that you like this video, hit subscribe, hitting that little bell so you get notified anytime I go live or post a new video. Here soon, I'm going to start doing this, getting on the bandwagon for shorts, short videos or whatever. I haven't done that yet because change can be hard, but it's going to be happening here soon. So be on the lookout. Okay, so what is alignment? What does that even mean? So let's start there. Okay, so what is alignment? Now, when we're talking spiritually, alignment just means that we are doing or being or embodying the best and highest version of ourselves, right? We are in flow with the universe. We are in flow with our heart. Our chakras are all aligned with each other. We're aligned from the heart center out. And things are just great, right? We don't worry, we aren't afraid, we aren't angry, we don't worry about what's going to happen because it doesn't really matter, right? The universe gives us the signs and synchronicities that we need so that we can be in a sorry, I should not be looking at my phone because I can't think and look at my phone. But we are living in a completely aligned place. So we don't have to worry. We don't have to be in any space other than the present moment. Okay. So when we talk about being aligned, there's three things. Probably more than three things, but three things to, be concise. So first of all, we're in alignment with our chakras. So all of our chakras are in alignment with our heart chakra, which is unconditional love, forgiveness, and healing. Okay. So anything that we say is coming from that heart space. Anything we see is coming from that heart space, right? Et cetera, et cetera. And if you guys are interested in having like a chakra video set where we talk about each and every different chakra and different healings, because I know I've talked about doing it before, but it didn't seem like there was a whole lot of interest at the time. So if you guys are interested in having that, I'll definitely make a series about that because the chakras are super, super important. And now that I just realized it's the full moon, I should probably do something about the full moon too, maybe tomorrow. So we're aligned in the chakras. Now, the second thing that we're aligned with is we are aligned with grounding. And remember, grounding doesn't just mean going outside and putting our feet in the dirt and hugging a tree. Because if you are like me and you live in a very cold place, going outside barefoot and hugging a tree it's not gonna happen, okay? If you're like me, it's just not gonna happen. It's too cold. I don't like you just step outside and your feet just instantly turn to ice. So I'm not doing that. So there's lots of different ways in which we can ground to the earth. But grounding also means grounding to ourselves. So that's the alignment place and grounding with the present moment. So we must have each of these areas, right? Grounding in the earth, grounding in the self, and grounding in the present moment. So that's the second alignment place. The third alignment place that we have to bring ourselves into a space of, or rather, if you are in the third awareness space, you are also in a state of awareness. Okay. So I just want to preface this by saying, right before I came onto this video, I had an experience, a potentially perceived negative experience with somebody, and it totally threw me off because I was just about to come on a live and I was feeling great and kumbaya and everything was aligned and aware and blah blah blah, and then I experienced this, and I'm going to tell you about it in a second. So, when we are in a space of awareness, we are also in a state of alignment. So, awareness simply means that I am going with the signs and synchronicities that are being given to me. So, before I go into this negative thing, let me tell you about this positive thing. So, yesterday, I took my dog Abby, who is my rescue, and I call her my little squish because she's just a squishy love bug. But I took her to the spiritual crystal shop. So, two different crystal shops. I went to Crescent Moon and Crystal Spirit because I was looking for a tapestry to put behind me so that you guys could have something exciting and pretty to look at. Um, but when I went to Crescent Moon, they didn't have any that I liked. They did have some, but none that I really liked. So I went to Crystal Spirit. And the whole way to go to the store, I was like, well, I don't really want to go to two stores. I kind of want to just make this quick. And I kept getting, go to Crystal Spirit, go to Crystal Spirit. I was like, I'm just going to go to Crescent Moon. Went to Crescent Moon, and of course, they didn't have what I wanted. So, not in alignment, right? Because I wasn't listening and I was arguing with myself. So I went to Crescent Moon and I had Abby with me, or Crystal Spirit. Sorry. Went to Crystal Spirit, walked in, was looking around, and my dog Abby went straight to the back of the store. She's never been there before, and there's nothing really back there. It's just kind of a big empty room. So I was like, okay. So I'm trying to like pull her, but I was like, you know what? Why am I pulling her? Let's just see where she's going. So I went to the back, and there's a lady back there, and she's setting up for a sound healing. So I start, chatting with her and like, hey, my dog just pulled me back here. What are you guys doing? Whatever. And I was like, hey, I think I know you. Do you know Amy, my friend Amy? She does sound healings and sound baths. And she's like, I do. She's going to be here in like 5 minutes. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Like, I know her. I've been friends with her for a while. So I was in this space of moving away from alignment, moving away from awareness because I was arguing with my inner knowing. Finally got to the store, followed my inner knowing and Abby, and lo and behold, a dear friend of mine was there, and I was able to see her, and it was the first time I'd seen her in a while. So, when we talk about being in alignment, we're talking about listening to our inner knowing, being grounded enough to know that this is, in fact, my inner knowing telling me to do stuff, right? And to be enough in the present moment that we're not worried about what's happening before or after. We're just going to see what happens, right? My favorite thing ever is being in alignment and being guided by the universe to do different things like that. And I could tell you guys all crazy stories if you're interested. Maybe I'll do like a whole segment about like alignment stories where just right place, right time, right things happen. And in fact, that is kind of the mantra, right? When we're asking for alignment, what we're saying is, I want to be in the right place at the right time to do the right things, right? To do what it is my soul wants to do. Okay, without sort of questioning it or second guessing it or gaslighting it or doing any of those things. I'm just doing what the universe is guiding me to do. Now, those of you who have known me for a while on a personal level or on a professional level, you know that if you are in a space of alignment, the hardest thing that you have to experience if you are in a space of awareness and alignment is people who are not in a space of awareness and alignment. It is very difficult, right? Because you have to deal with people who are on a default and aren't in a space to question their actions or question their thoughts or behaviors or anything like that. And so you have to kind of take that role, right? You have to take the role of being the bigger person or not being reactionary or trying to pull people into the same level that you're at, right? And I always tell you, this is a practice. It's not going to be perfect every time because I definitely was not perfect earlier. It's like 5 minutes before this live started. So I was with my dogs and this lady has this tiny little chihuahua and my dogs ran up to her and she got totally freaked out because I have big dogs and she has a tiny little chihuahua and she like starts going off about how we should have our dogs on the leash. And so I'm trying to grab Astrid, who's a big puppy, and Astrid's just excited and she's just following this lady, not growling or anything, just following this lady. So I'm like, "Hey, can you stop walking?" And she doesn't stop walking. She just keeps going. So I'm trying to grab my dog and she just keeps walking. And I'm like falling over myself trying to grab my dog because this is a big dog. She's like 80 pounds. So I'm trying to grab her. And I'm like, finally I get Astrid and I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like, why aren't you listening? Why aren't you hearing me? Oh, I'm sorry. Were you talking to me? Like, yes, yes, I was, right? And I like fell in the mud, like, so I had to change. That's why I'm wearing this because I'm like, forget it. I'm just putting on a jacket. I'm going to go do my live. So when we don't have to, when we are spiritual people working every single day and practicing alignment, awareness, groundedness every single day, and we have to interact with people. Not we have to, but we do, right? Because we live here on this earth in this reality. So every single day, you have to interact with people that you may or may not want to interact with, and yet you must, right? And that's life. So, how do we deal with this? How do we move past this frustration? Well, I'm going to tell you guys what I did and what I'm still doing because obviously this irked me enough that I'm sitting here talking to you all about it. So, I practiced radical forgiveness. So, we talked a couple weeks ago about something called radical forgiveness, and there's lots of different ways to practice this. But essentially, what radical forgiveness says or teaches us is that these moments happen, right? What can I do about it? Nothing. I can't change that interaction that already took place. Now, what I can do is I can take responsibility for my piece, right? I can grant grace, which is something that I call the know your heart exercise, which is this lady probably didn't mean to hurt my feelings or annoy me. She just got scared because these two giant dogs were coming at her. And even though they were not coming at her aggressively or violently, if you're not a big dog person and big dogs are coming at you, it's scary, right? So I get that. So I can grant some grace and space for that. So how do we move into this radical forgiveness piece? Well, first off, we have to be, you know, giving that grace. We have to be in that space of awareness. But then we have to let it go. Right? And this is the hardest part. I think for a lot of people, for myself too, is to just be able to say, okay, well, that happened. That happened. Now I'm moving on, right? Now the next piece of my day is coming up. So what is next for me? Well, alive, where I'm going to sit here and talk about awareness and alignment is what's next for me in my day. So how can I use this to move myself back into awareness and alignment? And if you're watching this from start to finish, you know at the very beginning of this video, I said, oh, it's the full moon, right? So we're in the full moon right now, surprise, which means everything gets a little bit wonky right now, right? And so when we're in a space of awareness, knowing and understanding the patterns, I'm making fun of myself a little bit because I pride myself on every day, every moment of every day, working towards alignment and awareness. And here I am about to do a YouTube and doing a YouTube live where I'm like totally lost in the sauce, right? Like it happens, you guys. It happens to the best of us that we have a day or a week or a month or a year, right? Where things just don't really make sense. And even though we know the right things to do and we know the right things to say, for whatever reason, we can't step into it, or it's harder, or it's a struggle. It's just how it is sometimes. And so to give yourself some grace and to give yourself some leniency to kind of, I don't want to say misbehave, but it kind of is what it is, right? We can't always walk the walk and talk the talk because we're human, right? And we're affected by patterns and energies and other people and like this throwing energy, right? We talk about all the time. This was an energy projection that I apparently willingly received for whatever reason, willingly received this negative energy projection, and then I held it. So, radical forgiveness, awareness, and okay, I recognize that I'm in a pattern right now. I recognize the universe is pulling me towards awareness in some way. Now, the other piece of this, and I really want to stress this, I don't know, maybe for myself, because I really feel like most of the time this is like for me to be like, okay, this is where I need to come back into the centered place. Because we talk about alignment with the chakras, which means forgiveness, right? Unconditional love from the heart. And obviously, with this particular situation, when it comes to my dogs, I'm a little bit harder to deal with, I think, because I want people to love my dogs and treat my dogs with as much love as I think that they deserve. And I don't want people to be scared of them. But that's life, right? That is kind of how it is sometimes is people have to just be who they are, and we'll figure it out from there. Now, this full moon, it's my guess, because I just realized it was a full moon, is that this is asking us to let go of the things that are pulling us in any direction. So, this last week, some of the themes of this last week, we're noticing when you are too far to one side. And what do I mean by that? So, we have left brain, right brain, which is left brain, right brain, right? But we also have right as the masculine and left as the feminine, and we have yin and yang, and we have balance and all these things, right? So, what does any of that mean? Well, what it means for the sake of alignment is that if you're noticing yourself hanging too far on one side, sleeping too much on one side, that it's causing a crink in your neck, those kinds of things, there's probably some energy there that needs to be cleared away so that you can come back into that nice, even, balanced place. So, how do we do that? Well, unfortunately, folks, it all comes back to the heart, right? It all comes back to forgiveness. So, one of the things I really want to talk about this week, because I forgot to talk about it last time we talked about forgiveness, is a practice called Ho'oponopono. So, this is an amazing practice, and you don't have to say Ho'oponopono if you don't want to. This is a Hawaiian practice. And essentially, what it means is I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. I thank you. So, when we're operating in Ho'oponopono or radical forgiveness or whatever you want to call it, whatever is in alignment with you and feels right to your heart is I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. I thank you. Now, this is for both parts. For me, because I was not nice to that. It's not that I wasn't nice. I was pretty frustrated when I tripped over my dog, and that bothered me. So I was kind of mean after that point. I have to forgive myself for that because I sent out an energy projection that was not in alignment with the best and highest version of myself, right? So there's Ho'oponopono there, right? Now, there was also the other piece where I have to forgive her because she wasn't being very nice from start to finish, right? So I have to let that go and I have to understand that she didn't intend that. When she was out for her walk, she was just out for a walk. And it just so happened that we were there. So there's a piece of this that goes to both ends. I'm not just forgiving her and I'm not just forgiving myself, it's both, right? Anytime we practice any type of forgiveness, it's on both sides. I can understand where she's at, even though I wouldn't be there. Well, I will tell you guys a story about how I was there once, and how I dealt with it. But I'm me. I'm my own person. I interact with the world differently. I see the world differently. I can't expect other people to be in that same space because it took a lot and it still takes a lot for me to work in that space. So I can't expect that from other people. I can help to motivate people to be in that space. But the way that I acted today, I don't think I motivated her to be nice, right? I probably motivated her to go home and be angry. So hopefully I can correct that energy projection with Ho'oponopono. And that's the intention, right? Is I know there was an improper energy projection, I perpetuated it, and now I can correct it. So, as you're coming into this next full moon, if you've already been experiencing sort of being angry or receiving energy projections or giving off energy projections, it's okay. You're human. Congratulations. You experienced humanness today, right? And maybe you did it right. Maybe you reacted or acted in a way that was perfectly in alignment with you and who you want to be and the best version of your soul. But maybe you didn't, right? And that's okay. So, as you go through this next full moon, some things to consider. Am I leaning more to one side? Are my thoughts leaning any way, right? Am I becoming biased in the way that I perceive the world? Okay, if I am, how can I forgive that? Am I leading from my heart? If I'm not, how do I lead more from my heart? How do I think more from my heart? What needs to come into balance here? Okay. The other piece is what's really making me angry? What really frustrated me? So I know, like with this situation, what really frustrated me is that this woman had headphones on and they were too loud, so she couldn't hear me. So she didn't feel bad about yelling at me, but she wasn't really willing to have an interaction with me because she had headphones on. So I felt like, it was a weird interaction and disrespectful from start to finish because she couldn't even hear the other side of it. She purposely made it so that she couldn't hear outside of herself, right? And that's what made me angry. So I know that, right? And, judging my sweet little baby dogs, right? So we can be in that space. We can understand where we are at, where our energy is coming from, what our intention is, so that we can resolve it. So that's what I have for you guys today. Thank you for being here. I totally wasn't going to talk about uh, awareness as much as alignment, but the two things really do go hand in hand. So when we are aware, we are in alignment. We can't be aware and out of alignment except for in these like weird little snippets, because as soon as we find ourselves out of awareness, we bring ourselves back into awareness and back into alignment. So they really do kind of go together. Now, the other thing about this is full moons are hard, you guys. They are kind of purposely meant to throw us off a little bit. They are ungrounding a little bit. So it's okay to spend a little bit of extra time grounding yourself into your intentions, reminding yourself of your mantras, of your intentions, of your goals, of your manifestations, because this is the time to really bring things in that are most in alignment with the goals and really what you want in this lifetime, right? Remembering that those things shift, but this is your time to really work with this really big positive energy. Okay, everybody, thank you so much for being here. Remember, like this video, comment so that I know that you like this video and like other videos like it, and I can make more content like this. If you are interested in a chakra kind of tutorial video weekly thing, then let me know that in the comments too, and I will get that together for all of you. And I just want to thank you guys all for watching and supporting my channel. Again, I'm Angelina, your spiritual alignment coach, and I will see you guys all next time. Okay. Bye, everybody.